Well, we're still in the book of Acts, and we're going backwards from Revelation to Genesis, looking at some of my favorite sections of Scripture. And sometimes little passages of Scripture you miss until you get a little bit further, and then you realize you need to go back and look at that again. But remember, Paul was on his first missionary journey, and back in chapter 13, verse 13, there's just a little remote commentary that says, "Now Paul and his companions put out to sea from Paphos and came to Perga in Pamphylia. But John left them and returned to Jerusalem." No explanation, no big deal about it. Doesn't use the word deserted them. It just says that John, which is John Mark, had left them and returned to Jerusalem. Well, if you look on the map, they were less than a third of the way that they were going to do with their missionary journey. And you notice that they had gone from an island back to a mainland, and that maybe it was a good place to catch another ship going back to Jerusalem. Maybe John Mark had family problems. Maybe he got seasick. Maybe he got frightened by some of the things that had happened with Paul being stoned. Nevertheless, he left. When we come to chapter 15, in verse 36 through 40, we find this. After some days, Paul said to Barnabas, "Let's return and visit the brethren in every city which we proclaimed the word of the Lord, and see how they're doing." Barnabas wanted to take John Mark that is, along with them also, but Paul kept insisting that they should not take him along, who had deserted them in Pamphylia and had not gone with them to the work. And after occurring such sharp disagreement, they separated from one another. Barnabas took Mark, John Mark that is, with him and sailed to Cyprus. Paul chose Silas and left, being committed by the brethren to the grace of the Lord. Now, there's a couple of principles here that I think are very important. Number one is we all make mistakes. Maybe John Mark didn't make a mistake because it never does reveal to us whether he did or didn't. But we all make mistakes, and we all need to be forgiven. We all need to be given second chances, and thankfully the Lord gives us way more than that. However, there's another thing that comes here, and that is that two very fine Christian men can disagree. And it talks about the fact that the disagreement was quite sharp. And while that's not desirable, it does happen that there's a significant difference of opinion, and neither man believes that they're wrong, and therefore there's a division. But I want you to realize that when Barnabas went off with John Mark to Cyprus, and Paul went off with Silas, they actually created the ability to cover twice the territory with two teams of men, not all going to the same city. And God's word says, all things work together for good for those that love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. Had some sharp division with brothers and sisters, changed churches, got into a disagreement with a fellow member, good Christian people, felt like you were deserted or felt like you were done dirty. Forgive. Everybody makes mistakes. And maybe John Mark didn't make a mistake. Maybe your perception was wrong, or maybe Paul's perception was wrong. Nevertheless, God's promised us, even when we have sharp divisions, if we both love the Lord and we're called according to his purpose, God will work all things together for good. And I believe that with all my heart. I believe that many times God allows division to come in order that twice as much might be done. And that's my thought for the day. God bless you and have a good day. By the way, this is Friday. Happy Friday to you.